Welcome to Follow the Money. I'm China Barachina. Here we uncover the stories and strategies of how money really moves. You know what's interesting? According to the Philippine Tribune, Filipinos spend almost 9 hours a day online and more than 3 hours of that on social media. We're one of the most connected people in the world, yet half of our population still doesn't have a bank account. Kinda ironic, right? We're online almost the whole day, but many still remain financially disconnected. That's why we're seeing all of this new digital and new banks coming in, trying to meet Filipinos where we already are, online. But the question is, what really sets one apart from the rest? Because not all banks are built the same. And today we're talking to someone who's doing it differently. Talking to a 60-year-old rural bank turning into one of the most modern AI-powered banks in the country. Please welcome Raffy Montemayor, co-founder of Salmon Bank. Hi, Raffy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Tina. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. You were mentioning to me a while ago that because we actually thought that this is a digital bank. Can you elaborate on like clarification what type of bank really this is?
Yes. So Salmon Bank is a rural bank, and we're building the best credit-led modern bank for Southeast Asia, starting with the Philippines. And it's about being present in all channels where customers need us. That includes digital channels, but that also includes a branch network, right, where customers can get support from people in person.
Nice. So before you co-founded Salmon, what were the path you on? What kind of like shaped you to think about the business opportunity that you have now?
Yeah. So the first half of my career, I was with HSBC, doing sales, marketing, and portfolio management for the credit cards business. So that's where I learned all about consumer lending and retail banking. Then I took further studies abroad, got exposed to the tech space, and decided, I want to build my career here in the Philippines, which in 2011, super early days. Then I took on country leadership roles at Agoda, OLX, and Carousel.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I saw how you can use technology to solve huge problems at
Like
scale.
the two industries put together, like merge your experience.
Yes, exactly.
And when was Salmon began? It wasn't built from scratch, right? So through the transformation of a 60-year-old rural bank. Can you tell us more about this?
So I think it's a yes and no. I mean, Pavel, George, and I founded Salmon in July 2022. And that was from scratch.
Oh, okay.
We built the team, we built the products from scratch. We started with a financing company. But when we founded the company, we already knew we wanted to be part of the banking sector.
Okay.
Right? Because that's how you can provide more financial services to underserved, underbanked Filipinos. So from the start, we were looking for a rural bank that we could acquire. We identified 15 and chose one. And that's the Rural Bank of Santa Rosa, Laguna. And we picked this because it was a small, simple bank, 2 branches, and it was very well managed.
Nice.
And it's a great entry point for us to be part of the banking sector.
So right now, you turned the 60-year-old bank to like an AI-powered bank as we are looking at our research. Have you always seen the gap? Like the only event today is about 33% of the Filipinos are, have bank accounts and nearly half remain unbanked. What do you think is the cause of that?
So unfortunately, the gap has always been there. 15 years ago, and I'll talk about credit card customers because that for me is a proxy for access to credit. Because credit cards are the main way traditional banks provide unsecured consumer loans to Filipinos. When I was in banking at the time, 6 million unique credit card customers existed in the Philippines. 15 years later, it's 8 million. So it hasn't changed much. And unfortunately, it's because the infrastructure needed to do lending to underserved Filipinos was not there yet. It's only in the past few years where the national ID has been scaling up. The Credit Information Corporation has a lot more data now on customers. However, banks still don't know how to lend to these segments of the population. And that's where we come in. We have the track record of building businesses collectively around the world. We can attract world-class tech talent to the Philippines to help us solve these problems on financial inclusion.
What was the biggest challenge transitioning from like a fintech company to a full licensed bank?
So I think it would be building trust, and not just with customers. So customers, potential employees, and regulators, right? For customers, we need to be able to make things super convenient for them and deliver real value. And that's what we've been working on ever since. For potential employees, it's helping people understand their mission, helping drive financial inclusion. Once they hear that and see that, they connect. Because we tend to hire from the banking sector. They're frustrated that they're not really making a difference where they are, and that's why they move to us to try to
What
help.
do you think, why is that? Like, why is there less impact where they are versus to what they can do to Salmon?
I think because many of the traditional banks are focused on corporate customers. That's where they earn the largest margins. That's where they earn their money. And I think that's where fintechs like ourselves, we make a difference because we're focused on the everyday Filipino and their financial services needs. And that's what drew people to join banking in the first place. And we're able to then attract them to join us.
Yeah, so, but you, Raffy, what's your personal experience that made you realize that this is the banking for Filipinos that should look like?
Yeah. So I think it's easier to say what banking for Filipinos shouldn't look like. And it's the frustrations we deal with every day. During the pandemic and even until now, people are waiting in long lines, sitting in white monoblock chairs under the scorching sun, trying to get served by their bank branch. And then when it's finally their turn, they're greeted by a guard with a shotgun, right? Who is the gatekeeper to see if they're worthy enough to enter the branch. And then we have bank apps that say they're going to help, but then are down when you need them the most, such as on payday, right? And then we also have e-wallets where you're lining up, ready to pay, and there's a long line behind you, so you want to be fast. And when you open the app, an ad comes out. So all of these things are the things that frustrate us Filipinos. And we deserve better. We deserve world-class financial services, and that's what Salmon is trying to bring here.
What was your personal experience, you think, ikaw personally, that you have experienced that you got frustrated yourself?
For me, it would be my bank a few years before the pandemic, and then even until the pandemic. I couldn't get my checkbooks. And because I was so busy, I couldn't really leave work during office hours. The bank branch is only open during office hours, and they won't deliver it to my home. So, I mean, just that it's a small thing, but it prevents me from being able to access much needed financial services. So that was very frustrating to me.
So those are the people who are already familiar with banks. So do you think, what is the main challenge of Filipinos trying to get themselves to be banked, from being unbanked to going to, to being banked? What do you think is, because right now that's the frustration, but what do you see is the problem? Why we are not adding so much into the bank population in the country?
I think it's about, there are multiple challenges. I think one is there's certain segments of the population, they just don't have enough income, right? Their income doesn't meet their needs, and so they cannot save, and so they don't have excess funds to put into a bank. Another thing is, and I think this is also a big problem, it's access. If customers need financial services, but they can't access it, then you can't do anything. And then I think also the mindset is a problem. But that mindset is about the mindset of the banking sector, not consumers. Because the banks have been neglecting Filipinos, everyday Filipinos. And so we need to change our mindset that we need to serve them just as much as we serve corporate customers, if not even more.
So how do you define, the uniqueness of your services amongst the traditional banks and the digital banks that we have right now?
I think one thing is that we grow our deposits sufficient to fund the needs of the bank and to build the loan portfolio. So that's very important. That's how we're building a sustainable bank, right? And also, we know how to properly lend to customers, do it in a profitable way, and provide more access to credit. I think that's one of the things that differentiates us, and our ability to be where customers need us to be. It could be offline in retail stores. Our financing company has 2,000 plus salespeople deployed nationwide to help customers get access to product loans. We have 2 branches in the bank, and we're hoping to build that to 5, so that in Metro Manila, Cebu, and in Cagayan de Oro, customers who need face-to-face support, they know where to go.
Do you also provide, because a lot of people knows how to ask for credit, but sometimes they lack the discipline of how do they manage credit. So is this something that also is in your program?
Yeah, so I think financial literacy is very important for us, and I think it should be very important to every financial institution. We do different things. We have TikTok videos that talk about how to manage your funds, how to use loans properly to your benefit. We've created the Para-Paraan Salmon podcast.
Oh, what is in there?
So we interview people, like people who are starting their business, and how their experience has been, like how did they manage their finances throughout that journey. I think it's very educational, and I think we all need to do our part to lift up the financial education of Filipinos so that they can maximize financial services when they have access to it.
You mentioned that you're from sales and marketing. How did you see the change of digital marketing these days way back from 10 years ago?
Yeah. When I was still in a traditional bank, marketing was about above the line, doing TV ads, radio ads, print ads. And it was a very shotgun approach. You had to have huge budgets, and you're not sure it will actually drive the business needs, right? Now, and for quite some time now, there's performance marketing. And we use that heavily at the bank so that we can speak to people who are considering where to put their excess funds. And we appear there as an option for them. And you can be very targeted. You don't have to spend lots of marketing to reach the right customers. So I think that's a big change, and that helps startups such as ourselves be successful.
This has been a very interesting discussion, but we're just warming up. Follow the Money returns after a short break. Welcome back to Follow the Money. Still with us is Raffy Montemayor, co-founder of Salmon Bank. So, Raffy, your culture, your Salmon is having a test and learn culture. How does that shape the way you design the products for Filipino customers?
So a test and learn approach means that we use data to listen to what customers are trying to tell us. We empower our people in all functions, marketing, sales, product, to look at the data, see if there are problems in the customer experience, and then come up with their hypotheses. What is happening? What can we do to help? And then we test and see what works. So for example, in a loan application process, if we see in the data there's a particular step where customers are dropping off, that's a problem. It's a sign that they're having a bad user experience. So then we study what's happening. Are they having a problem uploading a file? Are they having a problem inputting information into the field? And then we come up with what we think are possible solutions. Improving the copy, removing the field completely because maybe it's not a mandatory field. And then we deploy to a small set of customers, see if it improves conversion rates. If it does, we implement it to the wider set of customers. And if you do this at scale
This is
across
KYC,
the organization.
right?
I mean, like for example, like in the KYC process. So if you do that at scale, then you're really shifting the way you react and proactively address customers' needs. And I think that's how we're shaping our bank to be customer-centric.
And then you've been in the finance industry. how is your relationship with your your personal investment? Have you always been well versed with savings, investment yourself?
So I've made a lot of mistakes. I think I'm fortunate that because I worked at the bank, I have more knowledge over how banking products work. But it doesn't change the fact that as a person, I'll make mistakes in my financial
course,
journey.
yeah.
You know, I will make unnecessary purchases that put a strain on my funds, especially in my younger days. That's happened.
I think nagdadaan talaga lahat sa
Yes.
ganyan. Yeah.
And you know, people will tell you, learn from them, don't make the same mistakes. But I think we sometimes really need to learn it ourselves. And then when we do, it sticks. So I've made those mistakes in my financial journey, for sure.
What was your first experience of investing? What investment instrument have you started with?
With HSBC, we were fortunate to have access to a stock ownership plan. You could buy the listed HSBC stocks at a discount as part of like a employee retention. So that gave us this understanding of how stocks work.
Yeah, it's an employee stock option discounted at discounted price.
So so that got a lot of people who work at HSBC to think about how you invest money. And after that, I started investing in stocks. Actually,
local
stocks. I would say practically 100% of any savings I have beyond 6 months of basic needs, I invest in stocks.
Wow, how did you get that proportion? That's actually smart.
Because this was at the early stage of my career. I'm patient enough. I don't need the funds, right? It can stay. So despite volatility and fluctuations, I can just hold steady. And I think that's better for me at that point in time.
Do you still remember the first stock you bought for local?
I would say Meralco was one of those stocks.
Okay.
I think
utilities.
When I started investing, it was during a year before the financial crisis.
Oh, that's
right?
2007,
2007, yeah.
Okay.
And so I started investing in stocks. And you know, you invest in the blue chip Philippine stocks, and then it all crashed.
Yes.
And that really is where I learned that you should hold, because I didn't. I mean, some I held.
Ikaw yung mga napaso during that
exactly.
time. Yeah, okay.
But that made me realize that actually, if you just hold on and if you have that confidence that in the long term the stock market will keep growing, then it's actually a great place to keep your money. But it sometimes will test you.
Yeah. So now, do you consider yourself aggressive or conservative when it comes to investing?
I mean, now at Salmon, as a shareholder, as a stockholder, I invest in
the
Salmon
company,
stocks,
of
right?
course.
So that's where most of my savings are in. And then some funds I use in our Salmon time deposit because it's a high yielding time deposit. I'm able to get real value. So that's also where I place money. So in a way, I've learned to diversify away from stocks. But maybe people will find that not so conservative an approach.
So in terms of like, because if you're gonna put your money most in banks, then probably you're risk averse, no? You don't want volatility, which is, you know, to each of its own, diba? And what was your, I think you've already mentioned that one financial mistake that you've made is not holding on to the stock.
Yes.
But will you still be considering yourself, I mean, at this point, to like diversify also outside the banking products that you have?
So I think that when you're part of a fintech startup, all of your time is with your baby, your company. And then the rest is with your family. And you don't have time to think of
other things.
How do I make my money work harder for me? Unfortunately, that's how it is. And so I haven't explored others, but it's something I'm hoping that eventually our bank itself can provide more,
a wider, no?
You know, a wider range of investment options, not just for me, but for our customers. So that would be helpful.
So what will you say for young Filipinos that are just starting to build their wealth? And, you know, what's the best advice to grow with wisely and with sustainability?
So I think I would tell them, you know, really take advantage of the power of compounding. Because the power of compounding, really, it's about starting early. And I wish I knew that when I was in my early 20s. Because then I would because you often get discouraged when you're young. That, oh, you know, I can only save a small amount. It's not going to make a difference. I might as well spend it. But what we don't realize is that even small amounts, when you set it aside consistently and it earns interest, whether it's through stocks and other high yield investments, it can actually grow into something big and meaningful and help you in the long term. So if I knew that when I was younger, that's what I would do, and I wish more young Filipinos would do that.
What about your 8.88% promo? How much would it mean, speaking of like starting your wealth, how low can you start if you want to, you know, put this into the product that you have right now?
So now we offer 6 to 6.5% interest rate on our time deposits for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. You can avail of this when you put in 500,000 pesos and up.
Okay.
So at this point,
so dito mga millennials yan. So that's the like almost turning 40, they already have the savings, and then they can put it there. Okay.
So that's what we've developed for now. It's for high net worth individuals, people who have savings, including retirees. We have many customers who have retired, they have savings, and because of this high yield, they get the interest monthly and they use the interest for their monthly expenses. So it's really worked out for them. And I think over time, we will develop products that are able to support people with smaller savings, but still give them good interest rates.
So if this is, how will you keep the clients happy when it comes to like after the promo? Is this something that you are you thinking of some ways to add to your products for them to enjoy a high yield savings or time deposit?
So I think it's about consistently delivering value. And we do that now by providing a better experience. Customers have a mobile app. They can view their funds, they can view information, they can get 24/7 customer support, and that's a lot of value. And then the fact that when we launched 8.88% back in February 2024, the BSP has actually lowered rates 175 basis points since then. So actually 6 to 6.5% interest rate on relative terms is still very attractive. So that continues to attract customers because of the high yield. And I think as we improve the app so that more and more things customers can avail through the app, I think that will get them to stay and really love being part of this financial ecosystem.
So before we turn to our rapid fire question, I am curious, why salmon? Why name salmon?
Yes. So we're inspired by the fish. So salmon swim upstream, they go against the flow to achieve their singular mission, which is for them to lay eggs. And for us, that's financial inclusion. And that's what we're doing. We're going against the flow of the way traditional financial services is done.
I love salmon sashimi. All right, so let's go to rapid fire. So what's one habit you swear by?
Financial habit.
Okay, so if you had 100,000 to invest today, where would you put it?
Oh, I'll put it in our salmon time deposit, right? Okay. And earn 6.5% interest.
One financial advice for Filipinos should stop believing.
That your savings, because it's small, it's not worth it.
Okay. If you weren't in banking, what kind of business would you be in running today?
It would be definitely tech.
Okay. Finish the sentence. Following the money means blank.
Being knowledgeable about financial services.
And then this is our traditional question for all our guests. Money is the root of all blank.
Of all opportunity.
Thank you so much, Raffy, for your insights. I mean, I got to learn about salmon and how it's different from digital banks. Thank you for reminding us that innovation actually doesn't have to be like totally different, but also, making sure that we are merging traditional and, the new ones together, and that will make it a really niche when it comes to serving Filipinos that are unbanked. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you as well.
When you think about when you think about it, Raffy's story reminds us that innovation doesn't always start from scratch. Sometimes it's about taking something old and giving it a new life. From rural bank that serves small towns to a digital platform serving an entire nation, it's a proof that progress isn't just about speed, it's about purpose. As Peter Drucker once said, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence itself, but to act with yesterday's logic. And maybe that's the lesson here. We can spend 9 hours online scrolling, chatting, and sharing, but if we don't use the same power to build financial freedom, we stay exactly where we are. Digital banking and banking like Salmon isn't just about technology. It's about giving every Filipino a fair chance to grow and to meet their financial literacy goal. I'm China Barachina. Stay curious and stay sharp, and always follow the money.